The controversial spring hockey. Welcome into another episode of the Increased Performance Podcast, as always with Coach Wapps. How's life?
So it's always good. My life's way better than that intro, but things are good with camera guy, whatever your name is online.
All right, well, today we're here to talk about a spicy topic that we tried to talk about last episode, but I was told it deserves its own podcast, so here we are. And I think there were some parents that, when you made a post about it, they're ready for it. So today we're going to talk about spring hockey. So where do you want to start? Spring hockey. Why don't we start with...
This is a topic, and like you said, I don't even know how many people messaged me saying, we need to hear it. So here it is, you're welcome. We're going to tackle it. There's so many layers to this. It's pros, cons, we're going to hit them all.
Why don't we start with, how has spring hockey changed from when you played?
Oh. Wow. Start with that one, hey? So when I first started spring hockey, what year would have that been? I would have been 7. So that was 21 years ago. So it would have been 2002. And there was 2 teams out of Saskatchewan, 3 in Alberta, 2 in Manitoba. No, Junior Pats wasn't even a thing when we first started. They came in a little later. So the quality of play was ridiculous. Like, you had to be unreal or you did not play spring hockey.
Fun fact, camera guy was on the first Junior Pats team.
Yeah, well, your family had a lot of money, obviously. They were a big sponsor. Like, you just killed what I was talking about. But anyways, so, like, I've found programs from tournaments that I went to when I was young, and there's so many guys that are in the NHL in them. Yeah. Like, it's not even funny. So you actually had to be, like, it was elite hockey. And then as time, like, I played for 7 years, and by the end, it was still good, but there were starting to be more teams, right? Yeah. It started to become, and everybody who got cut went and made their own team, and now everyone and their dog has a team. Yeah. So, and now there's different levels of play. Like there is bronze, gold, silver. Like, it's just a continuation of the winter. And that's ridiculous. Like, if you're playing it because you're playing the best kids, like, that's one thing. But now it's literally just everybody wants the jacket, and to say they play spring hockey, it's kind of like a bragging competition for parents. And yeah, like, it's changed so much, and I think it's changed for the worse. I mean, tough to say in today's day, but if you're not good enough to be on the best couple teams, then, like, you're not good enough to be on the best few teams. Like, it's not like, oh, we got to play because, well, Johnny needs to play spring hockey in the bronze, and there's nothing wrong with doing that if you're doing that. But it's just a continuation of your season, which, like, at that age is stupid. Yeah. Like, you're just wearing yourself down by playing, like, that long, right? Especially when you're growing and everything like that. So yeah, it's changed. It's changed a lot for sure.
It's a good time to transition into the goalie development side of things. What's that like? I know when we did it's still non-existent, eh?
No, like, there'll be some teams that get somebody out for a little bit, but it's bad. Like, for the amount of money that you're spending and everything, like, if you're playing at the top level and you're playing against the best kids, like, there is value in that. Yep. You know, you're getting exposure to playing the best of the best. That is good for you, right? Yep. But, like, it's also a lot of money. And I mean, if money's irrelevant to you, do whatever you want. But like, you could put that much money into developing on like a good goalie coach, a good off ice program. Like, let your body rest right after the season for like a month or so, 2 months, and then get right into training rather than dragging your season on for 3 months and not getting development. Like, you're just continuing playing. And like I said, there is value in playing the best kids, but that's not even what spring hockey is now. It's just a continuation. And I know it, you know what? It is fun. Like, going to tournaments is a blast as a kid. Don't get me wrong. I remember some of my best memories are from when I played, and that's a blast. But I mean, you're basically just paying for the experience,
Yeah.
right? And like I said, if money's not an issue and you want to do it, then all the power to you. But if I look at it from a development side of things, is that the best way as a goaltender for you to get better and to be your best when you're in your teens and everything? Probably not. Because again, it's just the wear and tear of practicing and everything, like especially right after your season. You just played a long hockey season. Your body's not in the best shape. Like, you're gonna be tired. Like, your body's gonna be a little worn down. You play, like, you practice, you play all the time. You're in school. Like, a regular winter hockey season's a grind for kids.
Yeah.
When they're going to school every single day, they got practice after school. They got games. They get home at sometimes late, and they got to jam some homework in if, like, you know what I mean. Like, you got tournaments on the week. Like, it's a long year. So just rest after.
Yeah.
Like, just decompress, rest, work on mobility for a month, be a kid for a month to 2 months. This fly's driving me nuts. How is there a fly in our room and during winter? Yeah, squirrel brain. But yeah, it's just, you're just dragging it on. And after you take that time to rest, like, then have your plan. Like, have your development plan and make strides throughout the summer. And yeah, you can still do fun things as a kid and be a kid, but you can still train and get better. But if you just, like, some parents are like, oh, well, we take July and August off, and it's like, okay, well, you also play spring hockey for 3 months after the season, and then you don't do anything development wise and grow in those months right before tryouts. Like, it even just like slides into tryouts. Like, I had a few parents that I personally know, and they were just like disappointed with how the tryouts went of getting cut. And it's like, well, you played spring hockey till June, halfway through June, end of June, and then you did nothing for July and August because you were gassed out. Oh, you want to be a kid, hang out, and then you get cut because you skated for 1 week before tryouts. Like, it's just so backwards, right? And like, if I'm a development guy, right? So I every time I look at things, especially with my past experience of things that I went through with my body, but it's a longevity game.
Yeah.
Right? So
Most kids don't know that or understand that at a young age either.
no, it's like, when are people going to start realizing that with all of the goalies that are now having these hip problems, and which you see it all the time now, when is it going to become a thing that, like, you think about an MLB pitcher, right? How do they manage them? Well, they're on a pitch count.
Right.
Because they don't want them to wear their arm out.
Yeah.
Like, when is it going to start, like, being looked on goalies? Like, okay, like, we got to manage our reps throughout our life here, or it's inevitable that your hips are going to be worn to shreds.
End up like you.
Yeah, I'm healthy now, which is good. Healthier.
Yeah.
I'm as healthy as I will be, right? But I'm not in pain or anything. I mean, my groin is pooched, and my groin's been pooched since I had hip surgery, just because they gotta dislocate your femur out of your hip joint to get inside to do the surgery. So everything else gets like sprained, and my groin's just like never recovered. It doesn't matter what exercises I do or anything like that. Well, I guess now that I'm playing senior hockey, now it bugs me. So if I just lived a regular life, like But again, you want to play hockey as long as you can, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just fly, man.
I really don't understand how it's alive in winter here in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, honestly, that should be an episode of its own. Is how do flies live? Like this thing has obviously been living with us for quite a while.
Months now.
Because you go outside, there's no flies that are alive.
Yeah, no, not at all. Anyways, back to what we were saying. So, in a nutshell, it sounds like, if figuratively speaking, it's your kid. What would you do if you were in charge? I know you're a goalie coach and you're focused on development, but I think it's important for parents.
Is my kid a goalie or a player?
He's a goalie.
Well, I don't think I'll let him, but just kidding.
Anyways.
I'm kidding. Just my genetics. Short. It's got to be a sniper playmaker. You know, you can get by at 5'9".
Guy becomes a goalie coach and wants his kid to be an all-star.
Yeah, because I'm short. Like, I want to actually set him up for success.
That's fair. Anyways, back to what I said. Development, how would you do it now that you have, 5+ years of coaching and development experience? What would be kind of the ideal recipe for you?
The one thing that I didn't add, though, is it is tough for some kids because they might play in like a small town throughout the year. And that's all they can because of where they're living without driving an arm and a leg. So then the spring is where they get to actually play the best kids. Yeah. And they're much above their level throughout the year. So, like,
it's all situational.
Yeah, like, that's like, okay, yeah, you need, but again, yeah. So that's different for sure, because that's definitely something to take into consideration. Yeah. There's kids that are some of the best players in the province, and they live in small town and can't really go anywhere. Right. Because of the radius and the city limits and all stuff like that. Yeah. Until they get to a certain age, right? So that's something to take into consideration. Absolutely. If it's my kid, though, and it's a goalie, I was more thinking of skaters there, to be completely honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of goalies when I was answering that question, like just right there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
As a goalie, I honestly think it doesn't matter that much because goalies peak later, and being with our goalies and just having conversations with our general manager, like, we want older goalies. Like, we want that. Like, if we're drafting a kid or we're working with a kid, it's to have them ready by 19 and 20. Right. Like, and it's just a maturity thing. And that's just, I mean, okay, you get the one kid who's going to be a high NHL draft pick and he's a stud at 17, unreal, like 18. Like, those are far in between, right? Yeah. But everybody else is like, you're looking at them for that 19, 20 just in junior hockey. So then you think about into pro and everything like that. I know goalies who went and played CIS. Logan Thompson on Vegas played university hockey in Canada after his 20-year-old year and is now in the NHL.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often.
Well, it's just because of the development thing. Like, it's a later thing, right? So, and a lot of it's mental, it's maturing, and everything like that. It's not necessarily the skill at the time. It's just the mental aspect of it, because it's absolutely grueling. Mm-hmm. Right? So as you get older, you become more experienced with like the situations and everything, so you know how to manage your mind, you learn. And that's why goalies, when they're good at like 25 up. Right? You don't see many 21-year-old goalies come into the league, like, unless you're Carter Hart came in, but then he even went through an absolute spiral of a couple of years because he really wasn't ready yet. Vasilevsky came in at 19, 20. Yeah, he's the best goalie in the world. Same with Carey Price. He was one of the best goalies in the world. So, like, sure, that can happen, but we're talking everybody else, right? And when you look at it, and when you're young, you don't really think of it like that, but you got to be looking at, like, how can I be my best in my 20s? If your goals are to play hockey after junior hockey, that's when you got to be looking at it. Like, how do I make sure that I'm my best then and not worn out and beat down like I was?
How do you get a young, and this is probably more tailored for the parents, but like, how do you get a young, ambitious goalie who's skilled to understand that?
Oh, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta like as a family, you gotta find like the right coach and mentor that's gonna help that, and actually listen to them. Because I've worked with people like that, and I've told them, and they didn't listen, and they found out the hard way.
Right.
Like, I've been through it. I've seen enough now, even with young kids, like what's too much and everything like that. Like, the longer I do it, the more answers I have.
Yeah.
And I always keep evolving and changing because you have to, right? If you want to continue to get better and everything like that. But yeah, it is very difficult. But some of my good younger goalies now, their parents are completely bought into that. Like, rest, it's funny, but rest is a weapon.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're an only goalie on your team and you're just getting pumped at practice every day, and then you play a tournament, you play 4 games in 2 days, like, you're juiced.
Yeah.
Like, your body is burnt right out. And head coaches don't understand that in minor hockey. For goalies that, or teams that have one goalie, they don't get it. Oh, practice on Monday after they just played 4 games in a tournament. Well, that goalie's dead. Jump into practice, face another 400. Like, that's the repetitiveness. When I got injured, it was a wear and tear thing. It wasn't like I went down and wham, it happened.
Right.
It was over years, and it was bugging me a bit when I was 19, and then when I was 20, it just started to get worse, and then I got traded to Vancouver, and I played 6 games in 9 days, 5 games in 8 days, whatever. And that's when they just gave out. I got pulled 2 games in a row because I tried to play with it. Mm-hmm. And it was just an overuse thing. Well, I look back to when I was a young kid. I played spring hockey and everything like that. Again, I wasn't doing the proper things off the ice that I should have been doing, like mobility-wise all the time and everything. I had a genetic thing too, right? I had extra bumps on my femurs, on my bones. So every time I internally rotated in my butterfly, the extra bump would just hit my joint and grind away at it. So I wasn't dealt a very good hand. But there's a lot of, like, it's very common.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people don't get their hips x-rayed, right?
Yeah, I guess. How would you know?
So it's a very common thing. So that's why even like Vasi, when he was really young, he had a surgery to gas that early as a preventative.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
How old?
I don't know, but he was young. They shaved his hip bones.
Wild. Okay, so coming back full circle, it sounds like you wouldn't put your goalie. If you had a son or a daughter,
No, if I was
if I was
building a development plan, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said before, there's a lot of parents that have big egos too that like to wear the jacket, wear the clothing. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah. What's it really about?
Yeah, if I was on a spring hockey team, like, yeah, I'd be there to support, but I wouldn't be wearing the clothing everywhere I go. Like,
yeah, especially when you're.
Is that a bragging thing? Like,
for some people, it definitely.
And that's crazy, though, right? Like,
yeah,
sweet.
Yeah.
Your 8-year-old's on this team. Nice. Your 8-year-old might not even play midget AAA.
Yeah.
Because he's ahead of his peers right now, where, like, you have no idea.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's a lot of valuable insight for parents and hopefully young goalies who are listening too, because at the end of the day, like, if a young goalie can hear truly what you're saying, then maybe they will second guess whether it's actually worth playing spring hockey.
Yeah, I was able to talk on this way more than I thought.
Yeah. Well,
so, no, I think there's a lot of good stuff there for parents and, like I said, the goalies. And like I said, there's still some good, right? Like, still valuable. But again, we're talking about the 3 different levels and this and that. And I mean, hey, if it's only like 1 or 2 tournaments and you're barely practicing or anything like that, well, whatever. Yeah. But I've seen some of it get dragged to like middle of June, almost end of June. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. Kids are already fatigued from just their season.
Yeah. So, and it's tough, honestly, to make those like gains, not gains like muscle wise, just like strength and like mobility when you're on the ice all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's you're just basically, even through a season, you're on survival mode to not lose muscle and everything, right? Yeah. That's why, like, there's a lot of NHL trainers out there that'll say, like, they come to us skinny fat because their bodies are just beat down after a season. They've lost their muscle and everything because they're skating so much and everything, right? So when you're younger and you're developing, like, that's the worst thing that you could possibly do to yourself, right? So there you go.
All right, time for the questions. So anyone who's listening, who might be just listening to for the first time, every episode we pull questions from inside of our community. We have a private goalie community that anyone who purchases any of our online programs gets access to. So
almost 2,000 people in there now. That's nuts, man.
2,000, and it's
rock my socks.
It's goalies, it's coaches, it's parents. It's there pretty much as a community to help learn. You get access to this guy, which is valuable in itself. But question one.
I was waiting for the chirp.
That was actually more of an ego bump than anything. But okay, question one. How do you keep your head up when 95% of the game is played in your end and you're eating 50 shots a game? My team can't really ever clear the zone.
Is this like you need to go to the chiropractor and get your neck adjusted so you can look up, or I'm kidding. Man, that's part of the game. Like, your job as a goalie is to stop the puck. That's it. Whatever happens in front of you, you get 5 shots, 50 shots, doesn't matter, doesn't change your job. And if you start to worry about the stuff you're talking about right now, well, you're already taking your mind away from you being your best. And I know it's easier said than done, but your job as a goalie, you have to focus so much on the things that you have control over. That's your breathing, your own thoughts throughout a game, your compete level. All of those things are completely in your control. I know for me, one thing that I worked on even with one of our goalies last year with the Pats, and I know this isn't in your end, but when we would get a scoring chance and we crossed the blue line, I would tell him just to look down at the ground. Like, don't even watch the result of what happens because it makes no difference in your job. So again, I know this is in the other zone, but it's still showing you, like, whatever is going on in front of you makes no difference to your job. And sometimes it definitely can be frustrating if you're getting shellacked night after night, but that's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to get through that stuff. And, that's just part of the game. And if you hate it, well, you buy some player skates and score some goals.
Yeah, I guess, right?
So, yeah.
All right. Well, next question is, what is the most important skill that my son, who is 11 and on his first team, trying goalie for the first time, what's the most important skill that he should work on?
Whoa. There's a few.
Yeah.
Being a good skater is definitely one. If you can't get around the crease efficiently, well balanced and quickly, then all the other things are pretty irrelevant. Having a good butterfly, like a tight butterfly, and being able to see the puck into you, that's a very, very important skill. But if you can't move to the puck, that doesn't matter. Right? A lot of young kids, they struggle with having a tight butterfly. They want to chase the puck with their legs because they can't stay disciplined to their knees. So that's a huge one, just getting them to have that tight butterfly and seeing the puck. Like, it sounds like such an easy thing, but it's an absolute grind. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm on the ice with young kids and good young kids. Like, I train one of the best 8-year-olds probably in North America. And it's some days a grind. But that's also because he doesn't want to look at it and he wants to make windmill glove saves without looking at it. But, yeah, it drives me mental. But every time they chase the puck with their legs, meaning their legs pull apart, like, holes open up in their arms. And I can score right over his pad all the time in the hole there as soon as he doesn't have the discipline to get his knees together. So let's wrap this up here. But number one would being able to move quickly, move efficiently with shuffles, T-pushes. That's number one. And then just being able to have that tight butterfly and make sure that you're really putting your nose to the puck and seeing it. A lot of kids even watch the puck like 65% of the way, and you need to make sure that you're watching it 100% of the way in case you do spit out a rebound, so you can stay on it with your eyes and have a quick reaction from there.
Well said. So if you're listening to this, that was good. If you're listening to this and you're not a part of the
fundamentals would be, like, I'm not trying to put a plug, but like you're describing it, like this question was exactly why we built it, right? It's a entry-level development program to just master all the simple skills that you need in order to progress. Like if you come to me without those fundamental skills, it makes it way harder.
Yeah.
Right? So.
All right. Next question. What's the best way to build leg conditioning? I'm on the ice for 5 minutes and my legs are burning like crazy after 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think a lot of young goalies don't understand either, is just like the physical aspect of playing goal. Like it's a grind. It's so hard. Especially when you get hemmed in your own end or you're in practice and you're doing things properly, like going down, getting up, following pucks. Like it is hard. I would definitely say don't do what Camera Guy does at home, where he does like squats on a half Bosu. That's a tough look. Anyways, trying to find like a fitness trainer that knows what they're doing with goalies in hockey. I mean, if money's an issue and you don't want to pay for that, there's definitely things on the internet that you can do, like a lot of holds and everything like that. I'm a goalie coach. I do know lots about fitness and everything, but I also don't want to try and be the expert that doesn't have the education of this. So I would always say find somebody who knows what they're doing. We're going to be coming out with a goaltender mobility program over the next 6 months here. So that would be a great start, because it's really hard to get stronger if you don't have the range of motion. And a lot of kids don't have the range of motion. They want to be goalies. They want to be good goalies. And their flexibility and range of motion is absolute poo-poo. So that's always a good start. But like I said, try to find somebody who knows what they're doing in that area and try to get to them as much as you can.
Right on. Okay, so our final question for today. At what age should you take playing goal seriously? My 2014 has been playing for 1 year and is on the travel team. She's having a blast, but we're finding ourselves, them being the parents, getting out of the get out there and just have fun mentality. We've decided to have her in the house league for fun and the travel team for business. What are your thoughts on this?
That's tough. Your job as a parent is to be their support system, not their coach. So telling them to go have fun you should be doing that until they play, like even when they're playing at the highest level. Even if she makes it to playing for a national team one day, you should still be saying go have fun, because that's why you started playing. The second that they lose that is when it becomes a grind, and that's usually when the relationship between mom, dad, and the goalie starts to alter, and their love for the game goes right down the toilet as well. You find a really good coach who she connects with that can help her progress her skills and mentor her to talk about all those things at home, like warming up properly, being prepared for games and everything like that. Your job is to find that person for her, not be that person. The second you become that person is the second she is not going to want to play the game anymore. So that's really important, because I've seen so many parents ruin it for their kid, and then their motivation is a 1 out of 10, and they usually end up quitting. So
wise words. All right, well, that wraps up the pod. So if you want your questions answered on next week's podcast, make sure to jump into the community and fire away, and maybe next week you'll be chosen. Any last sign-offs? Any wise words? Leave it at that?
We'll leave it at that.